Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In the previous video we used Excel formulas in order to extract data from key value pairs similar to JavaScript object notation format, and as mentioned that was a very basic example, and that second approach that we used to extract the last name was to nest multiple functions, and in the end the formula contains 235 characters. So now we will do this with VBA. One thing that I would like to mention is that the solution that we're going to write now assumes that the values do not contain comma. If that was the case, what I'm going to write now will not be working. So I'm going to delete this now. And the idea will be to create a user-defined function that will accept two arguments. So I'm not sure how I'll call this function now, but let's see if I call it UDF, and I will pass to that function the entire JSON. So it's going to be cell A2. And then if I pass here last name as string, then I would expect that it should return Morgan. And then if I pass email, then it should return the email. So it should be dynamic. So let's do this. And I'm going to click Alt F11 to launch the Visual Basic Editor. And let's insert a module. And I'm going to start writing a function which I will probably call get value by key. Maybe not the best name, but anyway, and it's going to accept two arguments. The first one I will call data, and it's going to be of type string, and the second one will be key, also of type string, and the function itself will also return string. So now the first thing that I would like to do is I will split the string based on the commas. That's why I mentioned that if your dataset contained values, for instance, addresses that normally contain commas, what I'm going to do now is not going to work. But in our dataset, we only have like names, emails, countries that normally they do not contain commas. So back to the Visual Basic Editor, I'm going to declare a variable which I will call items, and it's going to be of type variant. And then I can write here that items will be equal to split. I'm going to split the data that is being passed to us, and we're going to split it by comma. And now if I want to print the splitted values in the immediate window, and I can declare another variable that I will use as counter. And here I can write for I equals from the lower bound from the items array to the upper bound of the items array. Next I. And I can write here debug.print items I. And now to test this, I can write in the immediate window here, get value by key. The data will be what I have in cell A2, so I can write here range A2 dot value, and the key will be the string last name. So I can see that we were able to loop through all key value pairs. So now if I want to get the last name here, then I should get to this key value pair. And therefore I'm going to declare another variable here, which I will call simply kvp, which practically means key value pair. And you can see this variable used in, for instance, Python code, and is also going to be of type variant. And here I can write that kvp equals, once again we're going to use the split function, And this time we're going to split the items of I, and the delimiter this time will be colon. So here in double quotes, colon, close the double quotes. And if I write here debug.print, this will ultimately return an array, and normally I should probably declare another variable in order to loop through this array. However, in this case, that array will always contain exactly 2 items. And since arrays are 0 based, the first one will be with index 0 and the second one with index 1. So I can directly write here kvp0 and then debug print kvp1, like that. So if I remove this now and click here enter, then we can see that we were able to extract the keys and the values separately. So now we should compare the key that is being passed in the function with the first index of that array. And to do this, I will have to create last name in a way that it includes these double quotes. So here I will write if, and I can use here again the same approach that we did in the formulas video. However, in VBA the function is not char, it's simply chr. So here I will pass 34 and concatenate this with whatever is passed here in the key argument, and once again concatenate this with key 34 and check if this is equal to the first item in that array, which is with index 0, then end if, and I can only print the values in the immediate window, in this case for the last name. So once again I'm going to delete here from the immediate window and click enter, and now we can see that we were able to extract only last name and Morgan. So in this case, instead of printing in the immediate window, then I can directly assign value to this function, and I will use the substitute function in order to get rid of the double quotes. So here I'm going to write application.substitute, and we're going to substitute the first index in that array, the item with the first index, which in our case will be Morgan. We want to substitute all instances of car34 or double quotes with nothing. And after we do this, we can directly exit the entire function, not just the loop, but the function. So if I remove this and click enter, it returns Morgan. And if I'm interested, for instance, in the email, then it should return the email. And the good thing is that if I pass here something that's not contained here in this text, like maybe score, like we see here that we have score in the 4th row, but not in the 2nd row. Now, in this case, if I pass score here, it's going to return an empty string. It's not the best practice, but just to show you that we can do this with VBA. Since I'm exiting the function here, I can pass here outside the loop and write something like key and concatenate this with the text does not exist. So if I now click here enter, and it's going to return me that score does not exist. And if I go back to the last name example, it should return Morgan. So if I go back to the worksheet, then I can test this function and write here get value by key. The cell will be cell A2, and I can extract, let's say, all first names this time. And if I make a double click, it will be applied. I can do the same for the last names. And maybe also for emails. So yeah, this was it for today. Maybe we should write a loop in order to extract here all key value pairs, but I think we have done similar examples in the previous video. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, then as always, drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to reply as fast as I can. And I'll see you in the next one.